Welcome back, brothers and sisters. In today's video, I'm giving you 4 epic rangers to play in D&D, starting with the Beastmaster. You might be raised by wolves, like so many of the forest's greatest heroes, yet you differ in that you have set out with one of your canine siblings, or perhaps a parent, to expand the pack's territory into more civilized areas alongside a band of ferocious adventurers. They got that dog in them. Wherever you drive evil back, wolves are quick to appear and defend the land in your absence. What I really like about this idea, besides the fact that you're raised by wolves, but one of them is still with you, that's, I think, so fun, is this last little part where whenever you do something heroic, wherever you slay a monster, wherever you drive out a tyrant, wherever the deeds of your adventuring party are made known, one of your pack members, or a group of them, show up and expand your territory. And not only does this help give you, it does 2 cool things. One, it shows the impact rather than just telling it, right? The people of the realm will start to notice the abundance of wolves that are expanding out from the forest and are now in the hills, they're in the marshes, they're in the mountains, all bearing the same white and black spotted fur of the pack you come from, or whatever you want the wolves to look like, right? I think that's really cool to build out your ranger's legacy as the grandest pack leader to ever live. But what it also does, and this is great for your GM, is it gives you ranger nature adjacent NPCs to interact with basically anywhere you kind of go, or anytime you return somewhere. Your ranger has an NPC that isn't the shopkeeper, it isn't a priest, it isn't an NPC that is really easy for maybe some of the other more civilized characters to have a conversation with. It's a fucking wolf. It's someone that you and the druid can go buddy up with, and you can maybe speak to them without needing to use a speak with animal spell. If I were your DM, I would say that's cool. But it's just a unique social interaction that really only you, and again, maybe the druid, but really only you can fully enjoy and reap the benefits of through asking them questions to learn what's been going on here in the desert since I left. Since I last here was with the pack, what have we learned? And word can spread through your network of wolves, and that's just so cool to me. So that's idea number 1 for the Beastmaster. You were raised by wolves, but now you have set out with one of them to expand the territory. Idea number 2, you might be born in a remote village where the frightening cautionary tales told to young children in hopes of sparing them from the clutches of foul fae are so ingrained into the culture that many of the youth are raised to be ruthless hunters who can track down and butcher fae monstrosities far from the safety of the village's torches and palisades. Some of the most skilled hunters have themselves become cautionary tales told amongst the fae. So this is kind of inspired by the Brothers Grimm stories of like Hansel and Gretel and that kind of stuff, where it's meant to make children scared of the fae or whatever's out there so that they won't go there. But I thought, what if they became so enraptured with these stories and so resentful and had so much hate for the evil archfey out there that kidnapped their children and terrorized their village that they actually became some of the best people in the realm at hunting them down and butchering them. The green hags, the covens all fear this village. No hag, maybe they've made a deal, no hag will ever take a child from this town lest they all suffer the wrath of their hunters, and you could be one of them, the newest in a line of children raised to be slayers of fae. And maybe your arrows and your quivers are made from feathers plucked from some giant raven monster out in the woods that you slayed. You could have like your weapons are carved from the horns of minotaurs. That's not really a fae monster, but some sort of horned fae beast, like an evil satyr, right? Maybe your first mission was to go rescue a kid who did get captured, and when you killed the satyr, you carved their horns into the daggers you now wield. And that last little bit there, that these people are now the cautionary tales that the fae tell. Oh my gosh, what a fun twist of the trope where, there's always tales about the things off in the dark in the woods that you don't want to be afraid of, but you are that tale now. So if I were playing this character, I already kind of mentioned, I would have some of their gear be made from or taken from the fae that I have killed, but I also just like the idea that there is nothing that frightens this ranger. Nothing. Now, does that actually mean you're immune to magical fright or being magically frightened? No, but I just like the idea that there's no story, there's no legend about a creature that could be told to you that would make you afraid to go hunt them, because you've learned in your time as this fae hunter that often those tales are they greatly embellish the creature's ability. They are meant to be they're fey propaganda, right? They're meant to make you terrified, and if you give in to the fear, that's what gives the fey their power over you. But if you can stride into the darkest forest and not be afraid of what might reside there, your aim will always stay true, and you will never fall to their tricks. You will be able to pick them out and disarm them and slay the monster. Ugh, so cool. That's how I would run that idea for a Fey Ranger who is a terror of the Fae. Idea number 3, the Gloomstalker Ranger. Maybe you're a pale-skinned child left in the crypt's darkness by priests of the light as an appeasing offering to the hungry ghouls there, only to be spared by the Justice in the Shadows, who taught you how to wield the powers of darkness to prey upon false saviors and the evil forces they puppet. And despite what many believe, you know all too well that the brightest places can blind one to the evils that hide there in plain sight. So what I've seen often with the Gloomstalker, what's so easy to do and what's kind of pitched in the book is like, you are a hunter in the darkness. You use the shadows to your advantage to hunt the evil things that are in the darkness. But I thought, what if you twisted that where you actually use the darkness to prey upon the stuff that's in the light? And in this example, it's like these corrupt priests who worship the god of light, right? These are supposed to be the good guys, and yet they're down in some dark crypt abandoning a child to feed some ghouls so they don't come feast on their town. Like, that's terrible. That's horrible and evil. And thankfully, you were spared by whatever the Justice in the Shadows is. Honestly, kind of a nod at like a Batman type figure, just because the name was fun. But that's not actually what I think it should be in your campaign. But some sort of archranger or just some sort of hunter, a vigilante perhaps, beneath the city. Maybe you were left in the sewers to feed the rat folk and you were saved by a vigilante if you really wanted to go the Batman route. But whatever the case, this Justice in the Shadows revealed to you that, like, there's actually, like, yes, there are things in the darkness you should be afraid of. Kind of similar to the Feywander idea here, though, of like that, but that's often not like, don't give it the power and don't be deceived by it. Often the greatest threats are going to be hiding in plain sight, in daylight, or in the temples, in the castles, illuminated by grand braziers and chandeliers. Like, that is where the real danger is, and you can use the darkness that those people fear. This is getting very Batman-y, but you can use that to your advantage to not only conceal yourself from their gaze and be able to sneak into their courts or break into their place to prey upon them and terrorize them, but you can also use it to terrorize them, make them not know when you're going to strike. You can strike up, if you're doing like a political campaign, you can strike up a revolution from the shadows to cast down the brilliant citadel that is the corruption of the city and the greatest foe from the mountain and free the city of Waterdeep, or whatever setting, whatever place you want to go with it. But that's just a really fun idea I had for a Gloomstalker Ranger. You're not actually hunting the monsters in the darkness, although you'd be very good at it, but you're more concerned with the false angels, the false prophets, the false kings. Those are the people who should fear your aim. And lastly, idea number 4, you might be a worshiper of the great thunder lizards and megafauna of the world's earliest and wildest days, who you seek to honor by slaying colossal foes using knowledge of their primordial secrets revealed to you by your extinct masters, and delivering devastating blows from your fossil-crafted weapons. I just love dinosaurs. I think they're so cool. They don't appear in enough D&D campaigns. They don't even appear in mine often enough. But I thought, gosh, there's so many rangers and druids out there that are clad in furs and leather pelts and all that kind of stuff. What if I could combine like my love for dinosaurs with a totally not 100% unique look to a ranger? Obviously, somebody's had this idea before out there, but just a ranger that looks different. You are not wearing the wolf cowl, right? You're not like the Beastmaster idea I had, or you're not even like the Strider Ranger in your leather armors with your cloak. You are wearing super colorful scale armor. Maybe it's ancestral armor that was the scales of like a thunder lizard or a dinosaur, or maybe it's like the scales of giant lizards that you hunt nowadays, the descendants of those dinosaurs. But you also wear like big, brilliant feather headdresses with horns and things coming out of it that are made from the feathers of a velociraptor, right? Or like you have, here's a cool idea. You know, the dinosaur that can like has a frills on its side and it spits venom. Maybe that's like a dinosaur that you take inspiration from, and you dip all of your arrows in poison, and you have this frill helm that you can like use to frighten your enemies. I mean, I could keep going on and on with all kinds of aesthetic ideas to base a ranger off of, going off of dinosaurs. But I also want to talk about how I think it's cool that you venerate and you worship these ancient colossal beings through the hunting of other colossal prey. You want to go hunt the giant. You want to go hunt the dragon, the kraken, the Balor, or what's the big multi-legged thing that shoots lightning? I can't remember the name of that one. But those are the things that you aspire to kill, because that's what your gods, these dinosaurs that you worship, or the megafauna, whatever you want it to be, that's what they hunted in their time. When they ruled the jungles and the forests and the mountains, they preyed upon these things. And you must do the same. You're not going to settle for being a ranger who hunts wolves and bears and owl bears. Like that's nothing to you. Like, and yeah, at low level, like that's the stuff that you will be hunting, but your end goal, the thing you aspire to do in honor of your extinct gods. I just love that idea too, that you worship them as gods despite everybody telling you like they don't exist anymore. Like, you will kill the very things that they once ate and then turn that into your new weapons and stuff. Oh, probably my favorite idea of the whole lot right there. Hope you like those ideas for a ranger to play in D&D. Let me know which one's your favorite down in the comments. And if you would like to support the church, some of the best ways to do that would be to pay your hobby tithing, leave a like, go check out the Patreon. Every Sunday I release all of the homebrew I prep for the previous week. So there are maps, there are digital minis, there's pawns, there's session prep templates that's going up every Sunday. So not only am I kind of giving you all the tools that you need to run a campaign, but I'm also giving you all of that in one cohesive, doomified style, which I don't know if you're anything like, if you're like me, then when I play D&D, it drives me crazy if the things that I'm using as props don't all look like they belong in the same world. Like, I want it to look cohesive and be immersive just through the style of it. So if you're weirdly anal about that sort of thing like I am, then you'll love having like this giant catalog that's always growing of doomed RPG resources to tell a cool campaign. So go check that out. Tiers start at $3 and you get stuff every Sunday, like I said. But last of all, you heard me talk about it yesterday. You're going to hear me talk about it today, and you're going to hear me talk about it tomorrow. The Doom Stronghold RPG zine, we had a nice little bump. We passed that $2,500 mark, which means we checked off another stretch goal. I believe that stretch goal gives, yep, here it is. It gives us a random table of downtime events to the zine's Adventures at the Keep section. So it's going to be a list of roleplay and exploration-focused random encounters, rumors, and development. So if you've watched my video, that is the deep dive into everything you need to know about strongholds in D&D, you know that you give out orders, and one of them is like the maintain order. And if you give that order, and then there's a chance that like nothing happens, but if nothing happens, then you roll on a random table to see what does happen. It's meant to be like just things that happen around the keep that don't really have a huge impact. Anyways, there are like a few things on that list, but it's a very short list, so I wanted to add to it, and that's what this stretch goal will unlock for us. The next one at 3,000 adds a random table of mobile strongholds. This was a comment left on the Kickstarter by somebody who backed it for an idea. They thought this would be cool. So it's a list of strongholds that can follow your characters across the realms. So things like a caravan type stronghold, or a flying fortress, or a living creature that has a stronghold built on it. So if we get to 3K, which I'm sure we will, we've still got over 2 weeks to go, and y'all have been very supportive, then we're going to do that list as well, and we'll just keep going from there. But anyways, that's it for me. Thank you all for watching, and we say these things in their unholy names. Amen.